The carousel kept spinning, one suitcase after another, like a slow-motion roulette of lives. Emma Turner rubbed her tired eyes, clutching her boarding pass like it could somehow keep her grounded. She had just landed after a 12-hour flight from London to New York, her heart heavier than her luggage tag. She had come to the city chasing a job interview. Her last shot before she'd have to return home broke and defeated. Her old suitcase, faded blue with a small sunflower sticker on the side, finally appeared. She grabbed it, relieved, and wheeled it toward the exit. But just as she stepped into the cold Manhattan air, something felt off. It wasn't the weight, it was lighter than usual. She frowned but brushed it off. After all, she'd been running on airport coffee and 4 hours of sleep, in her tiny motel room that night. She unzipped the bag and froze. Inside wasn't her wrinkled office dress or the secondhand laptop she couldn't afford to lose. It was neatly folded suits, a leather-bound planner embossed with gold initials, and an expensive watch still ticking under a silk tie. Her stomach dropped. She pulled out a file. The top page read, Harper and Lang Holdings, CEO, Alexander Lang. Emma's hands trembled. She had taken the wrong luggage. The CEO's luggage. Panic rushed through her veins. She needed her own suitcase, her passport, her documents, her USB with her entire career portfolio. Everything she needed for tomorrow's interview was gone. She flipped through the papers inside, desperate for any contact number, until she found a business card. Lang Tower, 59th floor, Midtown. She had no idea what she was walking into, but she had no choice. The next morning, Emma walked through the gleaming glass doors of Lang Tower, clutching the CEO's luggage like a criminal returning stolen goods. The receptionist gave her a wary look before picking up the phone. A few minutes later, a tall man in a dark gray suit appeared. He looked nothing like she'd expected. He wasn't cold or intimidating. Instead, his eyes were curious, almost kind. "You must be the woman who has my bag," he said, half smiling. "And I assume I have yours." Emma exhaled. "Yes, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize until last night. I was exhausted," and he raised a hand. "It's fine. I understand." He set down her old suitcase, the sunflower sticker slightly peeling, and looked at it for a long moment before speaking again. "I actually owe you thanks. You have no idea how long I've been waiting for this mix-up." Emma blinked, confused. "Waiting?" He nodded, his expression softening. "It's a long story. But come upstairs for a minute. I think we should talk." Inside his corner office, Alexander Lang set the suitcase down on the polished table. "This luggage belonged to my late wife," he said quietly. "I couldn't bring myself to get rid of it, so I used it when I traveled. The last trip we took together was to London. She loved it there." Emma's throat tightened. I'm so sorry. I didn't know." He smiled faintly. "When my assistant called last night saying someone had my luggage, I almost ignored it. But when I heard your name, something told me to wait. My wife used to say everything happens for a reason." He leaned forward. "You came to New York for a reason too, didn't you?" Emma hesitated. "I have an interview this afternoon, but I lost everything I needed for it. My presentation files, my resume, they were in your bag." Alexander tapped his fingers thoughtfully, then stood. "What position?" "Marketing assistant. At Halford Agency." A knowing smile flickered across his face. "They're one of our clients. Why don't you show me what you remember from your presentation?" Emma froze. "Now." He nodded. "Consider it a practice run." Her voice trembled at first, but once she began talking about her ideas, how storytelling and empathy could transform branding, her words started to flow. The more she spoke, the more alive she became, her exhaustion forgotten. When she finally stopped, breathless, Alexander was silent for a long time. Then he said softly, "You remind me of how my wife spoke about her work. Heart first, strategy second." He walked over to the window, city lights flickering below. "Halford doesn't deserve you," he said finally. "We do." Emma stared, stunned. I don't understand." He turned to her with a small smile. "I want you on my team, Emma. Head of Community Outreach. You've got the exact perspective we've been missing." Tears stung her eyes. "You barely know me." "I know enough," he replied gently. "You returned something that mattered to me, without knowing who I was. That tells me everything." Weeks later, Emma stood in her new office, smaller than his, but with a view of the city she'd once feared. On her desk sat a single yellow sunflower in a glass vase, a quiet reminder of the wrong luggage that changed everything. She often thought about how strange life was, how one tired mistake could unfold into a miracle. And somewhere on the 59th floor, Alexander Lang would glance at that same sunflower sticker on the returned suitcase and smile, knowing that sometimes destiny disguises itself as an inconvenience at the baggage claim.